Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of beetles.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And this one's really interesting. One of you sent in some research on beetle diversity.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, the numbers are pretty mind-blowing. I mean, beetles make up almost 25% of all animal species on Earth.
Really?
Yeah.
That many?
That means 1 out of every 4 animals that you encounter could be a beetle.
Oh, wow.
So the big question we're tackling today is, what is the secret to their success?
Right.
So we're going to dig into the research that you send and explore some of the leading theories about this.
Sounds good.
All right. So, it's a question that has fascinated scientists for a very long time. The sheer variety of beetles is mind-boggling.
It is. Like, where do we even begin to unravel this mystery?
Right. Well, your research pointed to a pretty significant clue: their age.
Oh.
Beetles have been around for about 350 million years.
Wow.
That's older than the dinosaurs.
So they've just had more time to diversify.
Right. That's kind of the first thought, right?
Yeah.
But it's not quite that simple.
Yeah.
A long evolutionary history doesn't guarantee diversity.
No.
For example, the coelacanth fish.
Oh, yeah.
They've been around for about as long as beetles,
but
there are only 2 species left.
2?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what makes the beetles different?
Right.
They seem to have incredible staying power.
That's true.
Like, you hit the nail on the head with this one. They survived at least 2 mass extinction events.
That's right.
These events wiped out, huge percentages of life on Earth.
Yeah.
Like, what did they have that other species didn't?
That's a good question.
Well, one theory that your research highlights is that they were able to shift their ranges pretty effectively.
Okay.
In response to climate change.
Interesting.
And that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Because they were able to adapt to new environments, which may have helped them, kind of outlast all of those cataclysmic events.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So think of it this way, like, if a species can easily move to a more favorable environment when things get tough,
Yeah.
their chances of survival increase.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, deeply ingrained in their evolutionary history. This adaptability.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they're old, they're resilient, they're adaptable.
Right. But even within the beetles, some families are way more diverse than others.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, there are tons of leaf beetles and longhorn beetles.
Right.
But not nearly as many dung beetles.
That's true.
So why is that?
Well, I think this leads us to another piece of the puzzle: flowering plants.
Okay, flower power. So you mentioned the Cretaceous period in your research.
Yeah.
Roughly, 145 million years ago?
Yeah.
When flowering plants were really taking off.
That's right. That was a big moment for lots of insects,
Well,
particularly beetles, I think, because flowering plants created this massive new food source. And beetles, being resourceful as they are, really evolved to take advantage of that.
yeah. It's like they hit the evolutionary jackpot.
Yeah.
So how did they take advantage of this new food source?
Yeah.
Did they just start, munching on leaves and petals?
Well, some of them did, of course, but the real key, I think, is in their genes.
Oh.
The research that you sent highlights this really fascinating discovery: beetle lineages that possessed genes for digesting tough plant parts.
Okay.
Like cellulose and pectin were the ones that were most successful in diversifying.
So it's not just about having the right mouth parts.
Right.
It's about having the right genes
Yeah.
to actually break down all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's like having the key to a secret pantry that nobody else has.
Exactly.
And this ability to digest cellulose and pectin just opened up a whole world of possibilities.
Do you have any favorite examples of how beetles evolved to take advantage of all these new flowering plants?
Oh, there's so many good ones. But tortoise beetles are pretty cool. They have this symbiotic relationship with bacteria.
Symbiotic relationship. So they team up with bacteria to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. It helps them break down pectin.
That's amazing. but how does that even work? Do they just find these helpful bacteria hanging around on leaves or something?
It's even cooler than that.
Oh boy.
The female tortoise beetle leaves a capsule full of these beneficial bacteria along with her eggs. And you won't believe what the larva's first meal is.
Okay. You got me intrigued. What could be more interesting than beetles teaming up with bacteria?
The larva's first meal is the bacteria capsule left by their mother.
What?
So they're born with these bacteria, basically.
Wow. That ensures that each new generation
Right.
inherits these bacteria partners.
Exactly. It's remarkable. It's a really good example of coevolution.
Yeah. It's amazing how these beetles have evolved such complex strategies to thrive alongside flowering plants.
Yeah. It's like they formed a pact millions of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just paid off for both of them.
So cool. But the story of beetle success doesn't end there, right? I mean, there's another fascinating aspect to explore.
Okay.
And that's their array of defenses.
Oh, yeah.
So you mean besides their ability to eat things that would give other creatures indigestion?
Right.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of defensive strategies are we talking about?
Well, some of them are a little bit more unconventional than others.
Unconventional. Okay. Now you've piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, what could be more unconventional than eating bacteria capsules for your first meal?
Well, you might be surprised to learn that some beetles have evolved to create shields out of their own waste.
Wait, what? Shields made of poop? You're kidding, right?
Not at all. These fecal shields, as they're scientifically known,
Oh my gosh.
are made from a combination of their excrement and shed skin,
Oh, wow.
and they're surprisingly effective at deterring predators.
Okay. That's definitely not what I was expecting. But, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, if something is trying to eat you and it gets a face full of poop,
Yeah.
it might just make it reconsider.
Right, exactly. It's not the most glamorous adaptation, but it gets the job done.
That's true.
And these fecal shields might have actually played a role in beetle diversification.
Really?
Yeah, because think about it. If you're well protected, then you can venture out into more exposed habitats
Right.
without being as vulnerable to predators.
Mhm.
So that allows you to explore new food sources and new environments,
Makes sense.
which can ultimately lead to the evolution of new species.
So their poop shields gave them the courage to explore new frontiers,
That's one way to put it.
and that led to more diversity. It's a fascinating, albeit slightly disgusting, tale of evolution.
It really highlights how creative nature can be
Yeah.
when it comes to survival.
Yeah. So these shields are just one example, right? I mean, they've got other defenses.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Lots of other defenses. Like some beetles will mimic other insects like ants to avoid predators.
Oh, wow.
Others release noxious chemicals
Okay.
or have bright colors that warn attackers that they're poisonous.
So it's like they've developed this whole arsenal
Right.
of defensive strategies tailored to their specific lifestyle.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
But speaking of ingenious adaptations, I think, didn't you mention something about beetles that farm fungi?
Oh, yes.
That sounds pretty far out there.
We can't forget about ambrosia beetles and
Yeah.
their fungiculture.
So these beetles are carrying around fungus spores,
Yes.
planting them in trees, and then feasting on the resulting fungal growth.
Exactly.
That sounds almost too complex for something so small.
It's a brilliant strategy,
Yeah.
and it's allowed them to exploit new habitats and new food sources that would be unavailable to other beetles.
It really speaks to their adaptability and ingenuity. You know, we've covered so much ground already, and I feel like I'm starting to see a pattern here. Beetles aren't just tough survivors.
No.
They're master innovators.
Yeah,
Their success stems from a willingness to try new things,
absolutely.
to adapt to whatever challenge comes their way.
You said it. That's a great way to put it. Their ability to exploit new niches, whether it's through specialized diets,
Yeah.
clever defenses,
Mhm.
or even farming fungi,
Yeah.
has been a key driver in their diversity.
So cool. But even with all these amazing adaptations, beetles aren't invincible, right?
Wait.
I mean, your research also touched on some of the challenges they're facing today,
Yes.
particularly from human activities.
Yes, definitely. In recent years, there's been growing concern about insect decline,
Oh.
including beetles. And this is largely due to things like habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change.
Right.
These are all factors that are putting pressure on insect populations worldwide.
It's a sobering thought. You know, we spent this entire deep dive marveling at their resilience,
Yeah.
and now we're facing the possibility of their decline. It makes you realize just how interconnected everything is in the natural world.
You're absolutely right. The fate of beetles is intertwined with the health of our planet.
Yeah. I mean, they play crucial roles in ecosystems,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
From pollinating plants to breaking down organic matter.
Uh-huh.
So their decline would have rippled effects that we can't fully predict.
That's true. It's a stark reminder that even the most successful and adaptable creatures are vulnerable to human impacts.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, given their track record of survival, if beetles could actually outlast us.
It's certainly possible. They've weathered some pretty incredible storms over millions of years.
Yeah.
They survived mass extinctions, climate shifts, and all sorts of environmental upheaval.
Right. Who knows what the future holds?
Exactly. Exactly. Who knows what the future holds?
Well, I'd like to think they have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
After all, we've seen how resourceful and adaptable they are.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to distill some key takeaways about why there are so many beetles.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, first, their ancient origins gave them a head start. They've had millions of years
Right.
to evolve and diversify.
Yeah, makes sense.
Second, their remarkable resilience has helped them weather some of the toughest challenges our planet has faced.
Absolutely.
And third, their incredible adaptations.
Oh, yeah.
From specialized diets and ingenious defenses to their ability to form symbiotic relationships.
Right.
Like those amazing tortoise beetles
Oh, yeah.
and their bacteria partners have allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments.
For sure. It's a combination of factors that's led to their incredible success.
Yeah. But perhaps the biggest takeaway is that beetles are master innovators.
I agree.
They're constantly evolving, experimenting, and finding new ways to survive and thrive.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And this raises an important question. What role might beetles play in future ecosystems?
That's a good question.
Especially as our planet continues to change.
Especially as our planet continues to change. Yeah.
It's a question worth pondering. Given their track record, I wouldn't bet against them.
Me neither.
Who knows what other secrets they're hiding, just waiting to be discovered. This deep dive has certainly left me wanting to learn more about these fascinating creatures.
Me too. There's always something new to discover in the world of beetles. Their diversity and adaptability are a testament to the power of evolution.
So to you, our listener, we encourage you to keep that curiosity alive. Keep digging, keep asking questions, and keep marveling at the wonders of the natural world. We'll see you on our next deep dive.
That's true. It's a stark reminder that even the most successful and adaptable creatures are vulnerable to human impacts.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, given their track record of survival, if beetles could actually outlast us.
It's certainly possible. They've weathered some pretty incredible storms over millions of years.
Yeah.
They survived mass extinctions, climate shifts, and all sorts of environmental upheaval.
Right. Who knows what the future holds?
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to think they have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
After all, we've seen how resourceful and adaptable they are.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to distill some key takeaways about why there are so many beetles.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, first, their ancient origins gave them a head start. They've had millions of years to evolve and diversify.
Yeah, makes sense.
Second, their remarkable resilience has helped them weather some of the toughest challenges our planet has faced.
Absolutely.
And third, their incredible adaptations.
Oh, yeah.
From specialized diets and ingenious defenses to their ability to form symbiotic relationships.
Right.
Like those amazing tortoise beetles.
Oh, yeah.
And their bacteria partners have allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments.
For sure. It's a combination of factors that has led to their incredible success.
Yeah. But perhaps the biggest takeaway is that beetles are master innovators.
I agree.
They're constantly evolving, experimenting, finding new ways to survive and thrive. Exactly. And this raises an important question. What role might beetles play in future ecosystems?
That's a good question.
Especially as our planet continues to change.
Especially as our planet continues to change.
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering. Given their track record, I wouldn't bet against them.
Me neither.
Who knows what other secrets they're hiding, just waiting to be discovered. This deep dive has certainly left me wanting to learn more about these fascinating creatures.
Me too. There's always something new to discover in the world of beetles. Their diversity and adaptability are a testament to the power of evolution.
So to you, our listener, we encourage you to keep that curiosity alive. Keep digging, keep asking questions, and keep marveling at the wonders of the natural world. We'll see you on our next deep dive.